Welcome to Fran's Friends, and join me in my crafting journey. Welcome to Fran's Friends. Here we are, the 1st of May. My goodness. So, April was a very busy month. I was able to accomplish a lot. And some of the things that we did was videos. We're up to 127 videos now. I did one on crafting the perfect weenie, daxi, or sausage dog bookends. And I found this pattern in a magazine. And it was really cute. So I bought a couple of packages of chips that come in a round container, 8 chips. And then I used an old IKEA mattress cover off of a couch or a hide-a-bed that I've had lying around, and I did some stitching on my machine to make it look quilted, and then I put it together. I cut the pieces of the pattern from the magazine out, and then assembled it along with my hearts, and of course the ends are just using some of my parts from doing my jointing, and then again I utilized the woolen fabric, knitted fabric from my dog's coat that I had done a previous daxi on, and pulled that together to make these little hearts with the blanket stitching around them. So it was a very simple project to do because I needed to take a little bit of a rest from my stork pattern or stork project I'd done in March. So the other thing I did was I put pom-poms on it, and it really turned out quite cute, and very pleased and very inexpensive. All it was the cost of 2 packages of chips in a container, and there you go. So little projects. So that was one of the things we did. I also did crafting a sensational Christmas table, and I did a God's Eye that I also found in that same magazine, which reminded me of my little trip in February to Mexico, and that became part of my table decor of keeping Christmas alive. And then we did, for, of course, Easter in April, the beginning of April. So what we did was we crafted an adorable little French knot bunny. And here's an example of a French knot. This is a little bear. This is the French knots that I had done and the pattern of the bear. So what I did for April was I made a couple of little bunnies along with some other projects for Easter. So we made, also there was my April update, and then also with regards to Easter, I made a paper-mâché eggs. First attempt at using paper-mâché and using just water and glue and napkins around sphere in the shape of an egg. And then I pulled it all together, with little cute bunnies. So again, it was lots of fun to do. Now, also, what we did was we are really getting into the AI on a positive level. There's so much negativity out there about people losing jobs, but how could you utilize AI in a positive way? And one of the couple of things that we've done is all of the projects that I'm doing now, we do a little song. My son's getting quite good at this. And we do a song, and the little daxi song that goes with the video of the actual making of the bookends. And also, we're really getting into looking at taking a picture of something and making a 3D soft sculpture pattern that you can cut a pattern out and then make that picture into a project. Now, we extensively did that with March and the beginning of April with the stork pattern. It was the delivery stork art doll 3D pattern that we had created on AI. And then I had an extensive way of how I did pattern cutting out the pattern pieces and putting it all together. And then we had the reveal at the end. And that was a really extensive project to do, but it was lots of fun. So what I'm going to do, it's to play around a lot with the AI and how we can incorporate making my projects move. As I did, there was the little dog on the horse, and I have the horse trotting across the table. So those are kinds of things that we can play around with. So lots and lots of things that have been done. Now as far as May, let's talk about what we can do for May. Now, one of the things I've done for May is I've taken pictures and made 3D patterns. One for a rhino, one for a camel, one for a panda, and one for a dragon. And what I wanted to do is to see if I could make a 3D pattern. So I came across the camel, and the picture of the camel looks like this. It's a cute little felt camel. And I saw this picture on, I think it was on Pinterest, but it didn't have a pattern. So I took the picture and I did the 3D, and this is what we came up with. These are the pattern pieces for the actual camel. And like here are the legs and the gussets and foot pads, etc. Now these are very small, so what I did was I did do an enlargement on the pattern, and what I'll do is I'll cut it out, I'll make the camel up as the project, and only if it works out, what I'll do is I'll reproduce the pattern pieces, and then I'll put it online as a free pattern that you can utilize. So we're going to give that a try. That's something kind of new for this month. Here's another little pattern pieces of what the actual camel looks like. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. We'll see how it works out. It might not. And if it does work out, then as I say, I will produce a free pattern for putting it onto the website. So that might be kind of fun. Other things too is I'm going to keep Christmas alive for May. And I've been collecting some of these tubular, cone-looking pieces that come from my sewing machine, from the threads that I've used. And I, as I say, I never throw anything away, so this goes into my little dumpster of things that I can use. And so May, I'm going to utilize that Christmas tablecloth fabric and do something along the line of a Christmas tree. And that's the theme of my Christmas table decor this year, is the Christmas tree. So that's another thing that I'm going to do. Now, also, I was in touch with the Vancouver Island Exhibition, and they've offered me a table for next year, my very own table, to promote the website. So I'm going to start soon, and what I'd like to do for the month of May is, I said to my son, I want a t-shirt with my logo on it, my usual AI look-alike, I guess you could call it, and that's what it looks like there. But what I'd like to do is I would like to put that onto a t-shirt. And my son's, so I said, I could take it in someplace and have it done. The other thing is maybe onto an apron. And my son said, well, why don't you do it yourself? So what I did was I purchased some paper from Staples, and this is a fabric linen. It comes in sheets, and you put it into your computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this picture of myself, and I'm going to put it onto the computer and print it onto the linen fabric, and then I'm going to make an apron out of a light canvas, and that will be part of starting to prepare for my BIEX website exhibit. So that's one of the things I'm going to do in May. I have to keep the projects a little bit less because the weather's getting too nice and my yard is a mess. Now, resources. Let's talk about resources. A few things came up on my search on YouTube and the internet and Facebook. And this is one from, I have previously listed Amy as AMY, does beading work, and this is a bead. So what I did was, I saw it on Facebook, I took a picture of it, I put it onto the computer, enlarged it so that I could actually count the number of beads, so that I could replicate this little bee in beads. So that was kind of interesting. There was a couple other new beading Facebook things that came up, and one of them was First Nations beadwork, and it's more of traditional First Nations beading, like with moccasins and jewelry, earrings, and that type of thing. And that's also, that the first one was First Nations beadwork, and then there was one I found, and it was Vancouver Island Beaders, and they took pictures like a small polar bear and completely put the outline of the polar bear and then completely beaded the entire inside. So it's be simple, if you're sitting outside after working in the garden, you could sit and do some beading, that kind of thing. So it was the First Nations beadwork, then it was the Vancouver Island Beaders, and then there was another one called Creekside Creations, all to do with beading. Now, the other thing I came across is, previously I've done gnomes, Christmas gnomes. I did a gnome for St. Patrick's Day, and I've done some for Valentine's Day, that type of thing. And they're fun to do, but they're not all that much of a challenge. But I came across a couple of new ones that I've not seen before, and they seem to be taking it to a new level. One of them is called Gnome Tutorials, and the other one is My Gnome DIY Patterns. And it's spelled MYGNOMMY, DIY, and patterns. And those look quite interesting because they're using different techniques. They're utilizing like wood for the legs, and putting it in with screws, and some different ways of doing like the hats, the usual gnome hats, and that type of thing. So I thought that might be interesting to look into, to sort of extend and expand the use of doing gnomes. And some people, that's all they do are gnomes, and the work is beautiful. And I just find it a little bit, I won't say boring, but not much of a challenge at some points. Now, I've also mentioned previously about I Love Knitting and Daily Knitting Ideas. And what previously they had used was either rabbits, that they would dress in certain different costumes, and that they're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But I've noticed that they've expanded it into other animals, pigs and mice and that kind of thing. So that's worth having a relook at, and that's Daily Knitting Ideas. And that's, I thought, quite interesting. And then only one other is one called Alex McQuade. And she does unusual felting creations, sort of a soft sculpture. But the way she makes shoes for her projects, and that's worth looking into as well. So that's the resources, and I've always said that I'm going to really look into resources to help expand how we can all add to our creations by utilizing the Facebook and YouTube and the work that people do. So that's probably what May is going to be. Christmas tree stuff, my picture of me, and the apron idea. Not quite sure. The camel is going to probably be the first project I do for May, as to how I can incorporate that pattern, make it, and then make it accessible as a free pattern for you. So there we go. So May has lots that we can do. Weather is supposed to be coming incredibly great, and I really do have to do something. Last month it was the dust bunnies. Didn't do so great, but improved. But this month, it's especially if you're planning on having a very warm summer. So again, thanks for watching, and lots more to come. Bye for now.
Join us now, the fun begins. Fran's friends